hey, yo, Saint Celestine lost a Gemini, but she's still on the scene. Got a bit slower, but 90 points lighter. Lost 1 wound, but she's still a good fighter. Okay, I'm going to stop rapping there because my rapping is wiggity whack. Yeah, this is a tactical video for Saint Celestine herself. She has returned. This is my counts as kit bash model that you have no doubt seen before. I do have the official plastic model. Oh my god, it's behind her, but it's not painted. I am painting the Gemini, but haven't got around to her because why would I bother? This model is better. Anyway, Saint Celestine is now 8 power. I can't remember how much power she was, who uses power, but there you go. She is a HQ choice, of course, for the Adepta Sororitas, and this is the Beta Codex, blah blah blah, if I forgot to mention that. Okay, so Saint Celestine is effectively the same as before stat-wise. She has a move of 12 inches, weapon skill, ballistic skill 2+, although you won't ever need her ballistic skill 2+, because it's useless. Strength 3, toughness 3, 6 wounds, which is 1 less than before. She still has 6 attacks, so that's something. She's still leadership 9, again, probably never useful, and she's still got a 2-up save, so I can't complain about that. She also has a 4-up in run save, as always. She has fly, she has jump pack, keyword, I don't know why it's separate to fly, but whatever. I guess it's to stop her going in transports. Weapon-wise, she has the Ardent Blade. So basically, it's a heavy flamer. And also, it can be used in combat. It has +4 strength, so she's strength 7 when attacking. AP -3 and does 2 damage pop. So that's quite nice. She does have the Shield of Faith rule, but I can't think of any situations where you'd need that because she has a 4-up in. And of course, because the Psyker denial thing is completely pointless unless you add some stratagems, activate, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, one of the rules she does have still is that she comes back to life still. You still need to roll a d6, and on the 2+, she comes back to life with full wounds, but she has to come back as close as possible to her previous position, so we've kind of gone back to older versions of Saint Celestine in that sense. She has to be more than 1 inch away from any enemy models, but fortunately, she can still come back. She just has to be as close as possible, so that's okay. Although it's still that horrible 2-up roll, so maybe save a command point for when that happens, because you don't want to lose her. Obviously, that's only once per game. Okay, and she sets up at the end of the phase. So it's not too bad, because it's not immediately, so if people have lined up different shots, you know, they can shoot her away, and she stays away for the rest of the shooting phase and comes back at the end, so okay, yes, they could assault her, but, you know, it gives you a chance at least. Another thing she has, which she also had before, is the +1 to Shield of Faith. The save, that is, the invulnerable save. Now, what's different is, if they're a Gemini Superior, they get +2, which effectively gives them a 4-up Shield of Faith, sorry, tripping over my own words, which is quite nice. She still gives a 6-up invulnerable save to anything from Adeptus Ministorum and Astra Militarum units. So, yeah, within 6 inches. This is all within 6 inches of her, by the way. So that's not bad. It's effectively keeping the same as she always was, but, you know, +1 invuln is always nice as an extra bonus. It doesn't matter about Warlord or anything like that. Her Warlord trait, by the way, which she is fixed with, so if you do make her your Warlord, is that start of every round, basically, she gets to roll a dice. On a 4+, you get an extra faith point for the turn, which is mediocre, but not too bad. She can perform acts of faith, of course, and she can still do healing tears, which is the last of her special rules. Basically, this is exactly how it used to work, where she can bring a Gemini Superior back to life. Gemini Superior are, of course, a completely different unit these days. That's relevant in a few ways. Bear in mind, if the unit of Gemini Superior is wiped out, then she can't bring any back at all. What's slightly different, though, is here, she can also heal them instead of just bringing them back. So if you've basically got 1 wound, she can restore them to full. So that's not bad. It means she's going to be more able to get use out of rule more of the time. There are some weird interactions which I'll get into now with the Gemini Superior, which actually makes it slightly better overall than it was before. Although certainly at first glance and out the gate, it's harder to work with. It seems as though it's got weaker, but there are definitely ways where it's improved. One thing is that the Gemini Superior, if they come back, they can't be set up within 1 inches of any models, just like all the other heals in this codex, which effectively means that, you know, if you can't replace a model or you're surrounded in close combat, that's bad because it basically means that you can't come back at all from that. But, you know, okay, so we've basically talked about all her stats and everything here. What is Celestine? In the index, she was ridiculous because she gave a free active faith for certain to a unit within 6 inches. Now she doesn't get that. So obviously she's not double moving at the start of the first turn, which immediately meant she could assault something on turn 1. So yeah, there's no double moving here. She could get the extra 3 inches, which would bump her up to a 15-inch move base. That's not bad, especially if you're going second. Otherwise, the +1 to hit and shooting is going to be useless. You're probably going to be using the healing active faith on her, if any at all, or the fight twice one. Fight twice is nice. There are better units to use that on. But, you know, at times maybe it's crucial that she kills something, and she'll certainly deal with the units she always dealt with. So things like Space Marines, Devastators, general infantry, or things with a fairly average save, she's just going to plow through these things, as she always has. And basically because she's got less survival, so that 1 wound isn't just 1 wound less, because don't forget, when she comes back to life, she comes back with 4 wounds. So you've effectively lost 2 wounds there, so from 14 wounds down to 12. However, it's still an improvement over actually having, say, 14 wounds or 12 wounds, because if she suffered more than 6 wounds of damage on the hit that kills her, then it's basically cut off and she can come back to life with the full wounds. So you're basically able to tank a little bit extra damage than necessary. From my experience, Celestine does not die very often, or she did not die very often. She's going to die more often now, but at the same time, she is a character, which means she can only ever be sniped or shot when you're basically a bit careless with her. And she kind of falls back to her old role of harassment, but she can still kill stuff. So essentially, it's like the old days. You use it to pick on units that can't defend themselves in close combat. And she just goes and annoys them. She can sweep things from objectives that are objective holders. She's very fast, especially for sisters, and you know we want that speed because that's always been a problem for us apart from the index. But, you know, it's going to be hard for them to deal with her, especially because she's a single model. You can effectively hide her out of line of sight in some buildings. Or if you just shove her in a building, it's +1 to her armor save. You know, and that's going to help keep her alive, get forward. If she dies before she gets there, she gets to come back to life. So she's still going to kill something. And that's how you always used to use Celestine, was it didn't matter if she died. It didn't matter if people focused on her. Because she was there to be like the annoying mosquito. She goes forward, she causes some havoc. Now she can actually kill things, including some decent characters out there. And, you know, hold her own, to be honest. And she's going to do that. And sure, if they devote enough to her, she's going to die. But that was always the case. So she's changed to 160 points, which is still cheap enough to be worth what you're getting for her, basically. There is no doubt that her index incarnation was overpowered as hell. I'm personally glad she's not just a beat stick anymore. She's still vicious in the amount of damage she can do, and she's still potentially very, very painful for your opponent. And that's the thing. People panic when they see Saint Celestine flying up towards the poor little squishy units, and if they have to devote units away to kill her, it's usually the kind of units that would tear through your army. So then you just hold them off, and my cat's being annoying. So yeah, that's basically what she does, is she gets stuck in, she causes a nuisance, and if they're attacking her, they're not attacking the rest of your army. So it's a difficult choice for them to do. They'll panic, they'll make mistakes, they'll divert things away. And if they leave her alone, then she's free to run rampant. So she's still a problem they have to deal with. And that's why she's still very, very effective, and probably will still make it into most arm lists. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say she should be the Warlord anymore. because you're going to get more benefit out of the other Warlord traits. So there's more benefit than there was before to make something else a Warlord. And again, if she's not a Warlord, then she's less of a target for things like Kingslayer and obviously Slay the Warlord, which means they might leave her alone, so again she can run rampant, unless of course for some reason you want them to target her, then go ahead and make her the Warlord. You know, it's win-win either way. You can make it work regardless of what you decide to do there. Personally, I say don't make her the Warlord, make a Canoness a Warlord, and then just go nuts with her. Now, as for her Gemini bodyguard, so what do I mean when I say they got slightly better in some ways? Gemini are different. Obviously, she can bring them back to life most of the time. If you get into trouble where she can't, well, you know, you have to be careful with that kind of thing. You have to play smart. But the Gemini themselves, okay, so they're a separate unit. They're also characters. What this means is if someone is shooting, someone can only shoot them if they're the closest unit, okay, or they've got snipers, okay. If they're sniping your Gemini, generally speaking, snipers aren't that good at killing characters, especially characters that would have a 4-up invuln near her, and 3-up save regularly, and if they're in cover, a 2-up save, with 2 wounds each. And, you know, if they plink off a couple of wounds and don't kill the unit, she can just immediately bring one back, so it's not efficient, and they're wasting shots, so that's good. It's tanking damage for your entire army. Okay. If they maneuver units around, you have to be careful about where you position. But if they're deliberately shooting the Gemini instead of her, that's good, because she's the one who's causing all the trouble and doing the damage. The Gemini aren't. The Gemini basically have 2 things. They annoy units that don't want to be assaulted by assaulting them, and they grab objectives. And then the other thing they do is be her bodyguard, and that's literally it. She's the danger. So what most people will do is if you put her in front and the Gemini behind, keep them with her, obviously, incoming shots against her are going to be taken. They're going to go for Celestine because, you know, blur, and she can come back to life. She's got more wounds, she can tank it, she can heal herself, and the Gemini are okay. Now, here's the strength of the new Gemini rule. So how it works now is previously you did the wound allocation because they were all one unit. So you did the wound allocation. It's like incoming shots, you do it on the Gemini first, obviously, because you don't want her to take the wounds. But Gemini have a worse save. They only had a 3-up save instead of a 2-up save, and blah, blah, blah. What happens now is that they have the 2-up on a 2-up. They can pass it off. So what can actually happen is, if you have Saint Celestine, and she's taking bolter shots, say, she gets to use her 2-up save, okay? If you fail one of those 2-up saves, you can then roll again to pass that wound off onto a Gemini, effectively making the Gemini have a 2-up save, because you get to do it afterwards. And you don't have to do it for every wound. So if you're smart, you can take enough for the Gemini to basically stay safe and alive. Okay, maybe kill one Gemini, or if you're really extreme, kill one Gemini, get one down to 1 wound. Okay, and then take the rest on Celestine. That's probably enough to spread it out. And then immediately, she brings one back again on the next chance. And you do it again. That's the real strength there. So in many ways, they've actually got better because the Gemini save is better. So you're actually taking less damage overall than you were in the previous Codex. By Codex, I mean Index, obviously. So yeah, that is that's a massive improvement, actually. So yes, the big problem is they're 2 separate units, which means if you're assaulting, she might get into combat and they don't, or vice versa. Okay. The way to figure that out is basically always send Celestine first. If she makes it into combat, then choose to send the Gemini in, okay, and they can bodyguard her. If you did it the other way around, the Gemini might make it in and she might not. But at least this way, you can always tell that Celestine's made it. If she doesn't make it into combat, don't charge the Gemini. Just keep them with her, and she's still got her tank there, basically. Okay, so treat them like one unit in that sense, okay? Now let's say the bad situation happens, you get her in, and the Gemini left behind. She's still in combat, she can still more or less hold her own, and she still has that safety net of coming back to life, so long as she can roll on the 2-up. She can still heal herself, and she can still do a mess of damage, okay? So go for it. If if you're charging units with Celestine where it's absolutely crucial that her bodyguards are there or she's going to get wiped, okay, you're either very desperate or you're doing the wrong action. Okay, she is fast enough, and the Gemini are still fast enough to choose what units they engage and when and where. Okay, now that's not always true. Obviously, there will be certain matchups such as Dark Eldar and Harlequins and that kind of thing where they can run rings around you, but that was always their strength. You do have that extra act of faith at least to get the extra 3 inches, which might make all the difference. And the trick there is to block them so they have nowhere to go where they won't be close enough to you to get the charge. That's how you deal with this situation. So I'd say overall, by making her price point generally cheaper overall, she's a 250 points for both Gemini before with Celestine effectively has gone down to 210. So 40 points saved overall. That's pretty good. That is the price of some whole units. You can get a priest for that, which will definitely help, including her, because she gets extra attacks. Yeah, she's still good. She's still really good. And probably will make her way into most lists still. Once people get over the shock, the initial shock of... One wound hurts the most, I'll say that. One less wound hurts the most. But I don't really think she should have been a 7-wound tank monster anyway. It was a no-brainer to take Celestine before. Now it takes a little bit more nuance, and that's a good thing for everyone involved because it makes the game more fun. You know, if it's too easy, where's the challenge? But as it is, she's still really good, still very useful, and probably one of the first thoughts. And you know, if you've got particularly big armies, you'll want to take her anyway. If you've got Seraphim and stuff moving forward, you'll probably want to take her anyway. And you know, if you've got Penitent Engines, she's very good alongside them because she actually gives them a 6-up save. Combined with their Feel No Pain means they're actually more survivable than they ever were. So that's all good. Okay, as far as I'm aware, that's everything about Celestine. So that's pretty straightforward. We will be going into more videos soon. I'm going to do all the HQs. I probably will do the Gemini next, although I've pretty much covered them. So it'll probably be quite a quick video. But yeah, if you like this video, remember to click the like button, subscribe, comment, blah, blah, blah. My cat's being annoying. Stop it, cat. Okay, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Guys, hope you liked the video, and if you did, I'm just going to say I have started a Patreon. So if you want to support the channel and help me to actually have some time to make these videos, get them out faster and basically improve the quality of them, because that's a recurring issue, you can find that basically at patreon.com/TortleTalk. Even a small donation would be amazing. For those who don't want to donate, please don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, don't forget to comment below, and share the video around as much as you can, because as many people who can see this, the better, basically. I can spend money on improving the channel, for starters, but also it means I can actually afford to make videos more often. I'm also going to be making a Facebook group soon. This will primarily be focused on Sisters of Battle and Eldar tactics, with more of a weighting towards Sisters of Battle because there isn't that much out there for Sisters players. And of course, with the beta codex and the eventual model release, there's probably going to be quite a few things that need taking care of that haven't really been taken care of yet. So I'm going to be starting a Facebook group. You're welcome to join. I will put the link in a video. I'll make a special video for it when it actually happens. And then I'll put the link in every video description. Same with the Patreon. So there's a link to the Patreon down below. Yep, anything you can do to help this channel and any kind of feedback you have is fantastic. Thanks for watching again. See you next time.